Welcome back, everyone, to the Okiki podcast. I'm really excited to share with you some brand new guests with, brand new ideas and things to bring to us this time. So today I get to interview Dr. Travis G. Parry, and he is actually the founder of Make Time Institute. And he has earned several degrees in family and social science. And his goal is to help people with goal achievement and family relationships, and to really help business owners to, as they're getting productive, to actually make time for their goals and their family relationships, which is such a cool topic to cover. Personally, as a business owner, making that space can be quite difficult. So thank you for coming on the show today. And I'm so excited to hear about the wisdom you have to share with my audience.
Thank you for inviting me, Fiyin, and thank you for allowing me to spend some time with your audience.
Awesome. So please let us know, Travis, how did this become an area of focus for you? What was your actual, I know you talked about how you have several degrees. So what is your actual educational background, and what journey did you take to actually find this and pick this as an area of interest?
Oh, thank you. A quick, Reader's Digest version of this. If you want to know more, I can give you more details. But really, the short of it is that I was fascinated because I grew up in a home where money really wasn't understood, talked about, and it's something that kind of my family argued about, and it was scarce. I grew up in a big family, and so I thought, I'm going to figure this out. And I started college. No one in my family had ever finished a college degree. Several were smart enough and bright enough to do it, but we ended up getting caught up in family businesses and other opportunities and never finished. So I knew I needed to go to college. So I was the first Parry in my lineage to actually go to college and finish a degree. And while I was there, I realized that I needed to do something with money. And so I became a financial advisor and began my path toward financial planning. And those are really two different paths. A financial advisor is someone who sells financial services. A financial planner has to be certified and trained. And so I began that process. And so it was fascinating to me, and I loved it. I loved working with my clients. However, I realized that I wanted to do more than just money and financial goals, because it's related to relationships, it's related to life goals. And I got really excited about helping people not just achieve their financial goals, but everything. So I went to trainings, I went to coaching sessions, I hired coaches, I looked at time management, I even went to work for a personal development company and decided that I wanted to do my own thing. In order to do that, I thought, well, I need to have some credentials. I didn't want to just be some guy starting a business, with his own ideas. I wanted to have it legitimate and evaluated. And so I made the decision to, after finishing my bachelor's degree, go back and get 2 graduate degrees. So I have a master's in psychology. I really want to know motivation, what makes people tick. And at the end of that degree, I found that relationships are the number one motivator. Being a parent and having a spouse that loves you and you love them, those are the 2 highest motivating factors in life. And so I made the decision and took my family of, I think at the time we were a family of 6, now we're a family of 8. I took them back to school with me, and I said, you guys are coming, we're going to do a PhD. And so I finished my PhD in family relations in 2016, and the Make Time Institute was born out of my research in helping families there.
Wow, that's so interesting. So interesting that you found those were the top 2 motivators. And then also how you can tie that back to money, because I'm sure you know more than I focusing on this, but I heard money is like the number one reason couples will have arguments or different areas like that. So it's very interesting to hear the different angles that you have with that. And so then with that, I guess in a way, it has a different reasoning, but what made you then decide, I guess, to be an entrepreneur with this and kind of make this something like a service you could offer people? How did you kind of take that background knowledge and make it applicable, I guess?
Great question. So after my graduation, I actually received a job offer here in Texas, where we're at now at Texas State University. And they're a teaching focused college. So I felt really good about disseminating this knowledge to students. But there is still a pretty big emphasis on the research. Research is phenomenal. You can do a lot of research and you publish, and that's great. It's just not one of my strengths. So number one, I knew that I was really trying to do my best there, and it wasn't my favorite. But I was doing it as part of the job. Number two, I'll spare you all the gory details, but academia is messy. It's political. It is hard to get anything published unless you're really riding on the coattails of others for a while. And I just didn't have that situated, nor did I have, the great writing skills that are needed. So about 2 years into that job, I realized, actually about a year into it, I started making plans to exit academia so that I could get the knowledge out to people. You can publish something in a journal and you might get some academics clapping and patting you on the back, but most of the public doesn't know about research. They don't know, even with Google Scholar, as great as it is, it gives access to so many people. People don't really care what the research is because there's so much information. They don't know how to actually search it through and find out what is correct, what's not correct, until they go to the academy and get a graduate degree a lot of times before they can really decipher what's truth, what's not biased, what is biased, what's politically motivated, what is not. So I made the conscious decision to say, all right, I'm going to go and consult with business owners because I'm going to affect their business. I'm going to help them with their time, their money, their relationships, and with their health, and really get the opportunity to meet one-on-one with them and to help them through this process that changes their life. I'll leave the research to the researchers, but everything I do, all of my programs that I've created are research-based. And that, I think, is what a good colleague of mine in my graduate degree cohort said, hey, at least you know the language. You speak the language of academia. You can understand it. And that has given me a great leg up, because there's a lot of people out there with life hacks, time hacks, relationship hacks. And to be honest, they might be hacks. But at least having the background that I have now, I can point to the research. I can point to the principles that come from that body of knowledge, but being able to take it and bring it to the world.
Yeah, I actually really like how you made that tie in with that because, like you said, now we could do so much research online. I know I was trying to research things on, it was like fitness and like hormonal balance or whatever. And then some people are saying some of these herbs that are being suggested, there's actually no research that proves that they do anything. And I think, like you said, because I did go to university, I did do research papers, it brings you this whole other world of studying that you wouldn't normally ever use if not for those academic institutions. But like you said, that bridge between academia and like the real world is often where the difficulty is. There's like so much knowledge and it's not being brought to the public. So I like how you address that. And then for you then, what was kind of the scariest moment then in launching this business idea, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I knew after the first year, I loved the teaching. I loved doing what I was doing. And I was doing a lot of this part-time to actually get research data. And that was exciting. That was the exciting part. But I knew when this wasn't headed the direction I wanted to, that I made the decision and sat down with my wife and I said, honey, we've got to make this decision. We got to leave the comfort of this job so that I can do the things I really want to do. And she was on board 100%. Hey, let's make this happen. We've sacrificed a lot to get you here. Let's let's make sure that you're doing what your dreams are, what your purpose is. And I hearken back to before I went back to school, my father passed away at age 49 very suddenly
Mm.
and left our entire family without really any answers. He died of a heart attack. And I searched and searched and researched health and wellness and motivation and stress and all these things through my graduate school. And it really gave me the purpose and the drive to kind of figure out, well, what can I do better? How can I, not have a heart attack at age 49? I turned 40 next month. Yay.
Congrats.
So I'm creeping up there, but I was 26 at the time. And quite honestly, I was
Mm.
scared to death. And
Mm.
during this process of trying to look for answers, we didn't really have a whole lot of knowledge. We didn't have a will or a trust that was left behind. So I was helping my mom through all of this. And during that, I actually had quite a spiritual experience. It's kind of a spiritual awakening for me to
Mm.
realize that after I wrote my father's, I wrote his obituary, I
Mhm.
realized that he actually became the person that he was sent to earth to become. And I realized at
Mm.
age 26, I'm like, I'm not really on that path. Like, I'm helping people, I'm
Mm.
doing things professionally, but there are things in my personal life that were not adding up in my relationship, in my health. And my wife and I have actually, while I've gone to school, her
Mhm.
and I have experimented with plant-based eating, with homeschooling, with deeper spiritual relationships, with improving our own relationships and ridding ourselves of all of these things. So while I'm learning about it, we're practicing it in our own incubator here at home. And then
Mm.
with those tests, with that knowledge, it really allowed me to have the conviction
Mm.
and the confidence that if we could do it, if we could change our health, our relationships, our financial situation, then we can help others to do the same. And I think that was a big thing. If I couldn't walk the walk and I could just know the research, I don't think I would have been ready to jump out into
Mm.
self-employment and have the confidence that I had.
Hmm. That's very cool. It's very yeah, unique perspective on on why you wanted to launch. And I know this question is kind of similar, but a little different. Like logistically, then, what was your biggest obstacle in launching this business? And kind of making that audience understand what you're trying to offer them.
Any entrepreneur is part crazy and part logical. There was some logic to it. I knew when my contract would then expire, so I had 6 months to figure out, okay, here was my business model. And my wife and I actually drug her with me to, to a training course. It was a 12-week course put on by my own church.
Hmm.
And it was an entrepreneurial course. I have my certificate right up here on the wall, right below my PhD and
Hmm.
master's certificates there. But it was a 12-week course that really was taught by business minds that could
Hmm.
recreate it and just facilitate a group getting together every week to discuss their business ideas, how to launch it, how to get financing for it, creating a business plan. So I did my due diligence.
Hmm.
And not only did I have this accountability as a group, but my wife she was so excited. She was, all right, how are you doing? What are you doing? What's your next steps? And she knew all along what we were getting into. And
Okay.
quite honestly, I think this is a big problem for a lot of married business owners. They may see that, okay, here's my business life, here's my personal life, and they're two separate things, which, yeah, we need to separate that time and probably not bring a lot of that stress from either one.
Hmm.
However, when it comes to supporting each other, it's good to share in the joys, it's good to share in the downs because you can support each other. There's a
Hmm.
lot of good research out there that does support this. When couples are supportive of each other, they're going to help through these time periods. And I can honestly say, if my wife wasn't there helping, supporting, even through the incubator time of the business, I think I probably would have had to go back to the drawing board and found another job and gone back to academia, got a teaching job someplace, whatever. She was very instrumental in this process. But through that process, I also hired 3 coaches.
Wow.
I invested heavily. Here I am.
Yeah.
I invested in my own PhD program, paid for it, got scholarships and things, but still brought my family. So I have a pretty, a big student loan debt that I still am chipping away at. But
Mm-hmm.
I still had some savings built up that I
Mm-hmm.
invested into coaching because
Mm-hmm.
I knew that while I have a great business idea, getting it out there, getting it to the market, getting it into, channels that made sense, it still just wasn't clicking. And so I hired
Mm-hmm.
a couple of coaches that helped me to change my mentality and gave me the tools I needed so that I could make my first sale. I could get the business going,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't starve
Yeah.
because we had a sizable savings, we had plans, but nothing really. The business isn't really going to be effective and productive until you start making sales, until you start bringing clients in. And I was fortunate that after I did all this hard work, within 6 months, we were on a path to replacing my income on a 6-figure scale, and it's continued.
That's so awesome to hear. I love that you mentioned that too, because um, like even for me, I just launched this podcast this year, and it's been amazing to see all the people I've met. But definitely through connecting with other people, having some people give me advice, I've gotten more guests like yourself. um,
Yeah,
and yeah, I'm also I have like a life coach, and I'm trying to get a coach for the sales part too, because I'm more of a content creators. So it's totally necessary and helpful to actually get to where you want to go. So really excited to hear that's happening for you, and congratulations. That
yeah,
is a
thank
big
you.
investment. And so I guess I know you kind of mentioned it before, but when you created this brand, what were you hoping then to really offer the industry that you felt wasn't already there?
So there's a lot of life coaches out there, and I kind of mentioned this. A lot of people are life hacks, but or they give life hacks, but they might be life hacks. They may not actually line up in their own personal life, at least
Mm-hmm.
striving. I don't think a life coach would have to be perfect at life, but if you have a
Mm-hmm.
life coach who is divorced and having a really hard time in their own relationship, trying to give you relationship advice, it's difficult. It's
Yeah.
difficult to understand if you have someone who's overweight and doesn't work out and they're telling you go to the gym and for you to eat healthy, it's a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important that as I was going out into this world, most people would say, well, okay, you're a life coach. Like, yes, I do help people to achieve their life's goals, and I call it living life on purpose, because of my experience with my father hit me so hard. I realized that I needed to take off these shackles of just being in the financial world, and I got rid of my licenses and everything and got rid of those handcuffs that were there so that I could help people in all areas of life. And yeah, I think most people would say, okay, Travis, you're a life coach. And yes, I am. But as I did a lot of the research and I wanted to help business owners to really be able to get to spend time with their family, I realized that 71 hours a week is the average amount that a business owner spends at work. 71 hours. Now, past 40 hours a week is what a lot of people would call, being a workaholic. But in our society in America, eh, we don't we don't really care about that. That's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm a workaholic, and we wear it with the badge of honor almost.
Definitely.
Um, so I was trained on how to help people manage time, and I integrated that with couples. So I primarily work with married business owners, really married men who want to spend more time with their wife, their children, and I teach them how to actually manage their time and then create boundaries so they don't just become productive and fill it more with more, ideas and things to do, because they will if they're a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then I involve the spouse. That way I can help with their relationship, and I can also help the spouse to help the workaholic who really is probably addicted to working to make time for them. And it works phenomenal. The clients that I brought through my coaching and my online training program, there's really three phases. The first one is goals. The second one is managing your time. And then the third is being able to be accountable to your spouse. Once the ones that bring in their spouse, the ones that allow that process to happen, they continually make progress. The ones that just get to that third stage and are like, yeah, but I can't get my wife on board, or they don't even try, they kind of are stuck in their progress. And they might get, some productivity tips and some new habits, but they don't really make the breakthrough. When they can make the breakthrough, then I can teach them as a married couple how to improve their health, how to improve their relationship, and how to fix their financial mess. And those are my specialties.
Very cool. So you really take that holistic approach of like, let's deal with those basic roots, like that foundation. How's your time? How are you guys communicating so that you can then give them more value? Very, very cool. And what are the initiatives then that you took to create your brand?
Really good question here, because in creating a brand, you really want to make something that's greater than you. You want a theme, an idea that will last so that you can leave a legacy. And I was working with my coach on this, and we were talking about different ideas. And he said, you know what, Travis, don't think about this too hard. Pick something that, if you want to later on, you could change. And, but pick the essence of what it is you're doing.
Hmm.
And while there are so many people out there teaching time management, productivity, and being able to be really good with time blocking and all these tips that people give about time management, the thought came to me, I don't just help people with time management, I help them to make time for all of these areas of life that I just introduced, that we all deal with, that every single January people are making goals with their health, their relationships, and with their wealth. Okay. But what they don't realize is in order to achieve those goals, they can't just manage time. They have to make it. The people that learn to make time for their goals, they're the ones that achieve it. Everybody else makes resolutions or think they're setting goals, but until they actually put on their calendar the things they want to accomplish, it's just wishful thinking. We used to say, and a lot of other big thinkers used to say, a wish is something not written down, but a goal is written down. And I would say, that's a really good construction of a goal, but a goal actually isn't achieved and isn't really committed to until you put time towards it. And making time was really what resonated with me. And it just sounded funny at first, but the more I started using it, the more I use it as my theme. Now I have the Make Time podcast. I have a Make Time moment. I have the Make Time, YouTube moments I have on YouTube. And I've made that my mantra of we don't manage time, we make it.
Very cool. Yeah, I think at the end too, and I'm sure you can send that to me afterwards. I'll definitely want to have that for the audience because I'm always looking for new podcasts to listen to. And so I will definitely check that out. Yeah, for sure. And my last question here for you is, what do you value the most about being an entrepreneur?
This life, no matter what country you live in, no matter where you are in the universe, really revolves around the time that we have. Time is ultimately what is equal. Doesn't matter race, color, creed, religion, demography, where you live, where you've grown up, any of your background, we all have the same thing in common. We have 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. How we use that time is our freedom. Now, based on where we live, based on our culture, based on laws, rules, governments, I'm a sociology major in my undergrad, so we could talk about government. But the reality is, it's that time that gives us freedom to follow our dreams. And I am blessed to have been born in this country, to live in this country. And while there's things that I don't agree with all over the world, I still believe this is one of the freest countries in the history of the world. And that allows me to have the ability to buy this microphone, to start a podcast, to help other people, and really live my calling, my professional calling, through my work. Most people don't have that ability in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it not just as me following my passion, as much as I also see it as a way for me to basically live my responsibility, have all this freedom, and therefore I should share that responsibility in helping other people find theirs. I really do believe that. That's not just something I'm making up. It's at the core of me. And I believe that that is what is at the essence of living your life on purpose, which is my motto. When we can manage our time and we can make time for those things that are truly important for us and we live that, then at the end of our lives, like I was able to do with my father, I could look back on what he not just accomplished, but the person that he became. And I can say to myself, I did it. I
Hmm.
accomplished my purpose. I lived it and I loved it. And I thoroughly enjoy helping others discover that, make time for it, and accomplish that through their lives.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so great to hear. And I'm sure that message will resonate with so many people in our audience. Thank you so much, Travis, for all the knowledge and the wisdom you shared today. I'm just going to give you another chance if you have any projects or events coming up that you could share with the audience.
So if you go to my website, it's travisparry.com or maketimeinstitute.com. I'll send those links over to you, but Travis Parry with an A or maketimeinstitute.com. Right there on the home page is an article of how to create your ideal calendar. It's 5 steps. It's pretty easy. It's designed for financial advisors, self-employed people, business owners, anybody out there who manages their own time to be able to make an ideal calendar so that they can follow their business dreams, they can follow their personal dreams. And join us on the Make Time podcast there. You can find out more information. And hopefully you can download that, the ideal calendar article for free, use it, and look forward to staying connected with you all.
Awesome. So thank you so much again, Travis. I'll be sure to give your socials and the links to that for the audience in the show notes. And thank you so much for sharing with us the importance of managing your time today.
Thanks for having me on, Fiyin.